Steve Carell is back in Despicable Me 2 along with these lovable guys. The Minions are one of my favorite parts of Despicable Me. He's back with Kristen, Wiig, and the rest of the cast. I got to speak to them, as well as Pharrell Williams, who tells us about what it was like making the soundtrack.
The process is just great because I'm learning as well. Like I'm working with like professionals, people who have done it for years, and Illumination is a fine animation house, and this opportunity is not afforded to many. So for me, I just show up happy as the film.
There's the great line in the song, "Happy, clap your hands. If you feel like a room without a roof."
Yes, ma'am.
Great line. When do
you.
you feel like that?
Fairly often. Fairly often. But that's because, I've just concentrated on how, blessed I am, and just having really good people around me.
Steve, I absolutely love your accent in the first one, and in the second one, the kind of Eastern European thing that you've got going on there.
Yeah, kind of, sort of, not really.
How did you get it right?
The accent it's a terrible accent. It is not based on any country or nationality. It's like you said, it's sort of a vague Eastern European. And ultimately, we didn't want it to sound good, like accurate in any way. It's really easy to do because it's just like the guy. He's just talking, that's who he is. He's not from any particular place.
But accents, do you enjoy that? Because we haven't really seen you in other roles with accents.
You know what, I've done more accents on stage. Like when I lived in Chicago and I did more stage work, I did more accents in that realm than I've done in TV or film. Yeah, I just haven't been asked to do, it just hasn't come around.
Because I must admit, when I heard you do this, I thought what it would be like to hear you doing a South African accent.
Oh yeah.
Because it is
yeah.
quite a hard one to get right.
I am told, yeah. I think it's one of the hardest to get, because everyone who does a South African accent ends up sounding Australian. And it's not quite it. And you said how many languages are
11 official languages.
Right, so it could be, well, see, the US South, very tricky, because that's very regional as well. And everyone just comes in and does a drawl like that, but it's not how everyone from and I'm from Massachusetts, and even like the difference between a Massachusetts accent and a New York accent, vastly different. So we have the same sort of thing.
You voiced a lot of characters in different, films and the Looney Tunes show as well. Is it requiring a huge imagination? I mean, you're in a booth, right, most of the time, very rarely with other actors.
You're pretty much by yourself, so you kind of have to work with the director, and sometimes the other lines in the scene have already been recorded, and sometimes they haven't, so you kind of have to, and sometimes you have to go back and re-record things because of the story changes, or, it's very different than a live-action movie.
And I imagine very different, obviously, from SNL days as well, where you get to be over the top with somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of why I love doing these movies. It is sort of a chance to still do that character work, and to find those different voices that, you can do on SNL and you can't really do anywhere else.
You're working with Steve again in Anchorman 2. He said this was one of his favorite roles. He laughed every day, the first one.
Yeah.
Is it like that this time around?
Once I start, sometimes it's very hard for me to compose myself. I always laugh at the same point again. And a lot of my scenes were with Steve, so it was really hard. I laughed more than I should have, probably.
We finished it about a month ago. It was, it was exactly like the first one in terms of making it. You're together with your friends and you're making each other laugh, and I think it's going to be really funny.
Is there anything you haven't done yet that you still want to do?
I just said it the other day, I have like a teaspoon of audacity, but like a bucket of like ambition, and I'm just going to keep going.
Stirring.
Yes, ma'am. And there are great things coming. Great things.
Yeah.
Yes.
More films?
Yes, there is a film, and there are more bodies of work coming too.
And hopefully more trips to South Africa.
Yes, and I really hope, South Africa, and actually, the continent itself, like in all places that they show Despicable Me 2, I hope you guys really enjoy it because it's a good one.